I'm sorry. So, you were saying, Kendra, you'd like to, there is other things? I don't have much time, Kendra. At any time I may just drop. So you may want to put a FedEx on this.
Yeah, that's the problem with that. Where you want to teach? I will probably give it up.
I think what makes questions sometimes difficult is that the more intimate, the question is, and all the emotions behind the question, the more difficult it is to put them in language, the more difficult it is to kind of express them, especially in public. Logan over there, you have no idea what he's capable of doing. Jamie, of course, is like a lamb. And of course, Paula doesn't know you, so she can't really do much to you. The only person I would be worried about is Logan. But he's sitting way over there, so.
A while ago, we were...
Kendra, I apologize. I can't really hear.
A while ago, we were talking about how... I forget exactly what we were talking about, but we were talking about a student-teacher relationship. And we were talking about somebody struggling because they can't, they're being told that they don't know how to think and that they can't make up their mind for themselves. And then, in real life, you have to be able to trust yourself and make up your mind for yourself.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
What are you doing here? It's good to see you. So your question is, in a teacher-student relationship, at a certain point, the teacher looks at the student and says, don't think, don't feel. Let me do all of that for you. It's going to take place slowly. And then your follow-up is, well, what do I do in life? Because every moment requires thinking, decision-making, right? Are you good, Sarah? Okay. There are a couple of things, I think, to your question. Before we talk about the relationship itself, let's just talk about the student. Is the student single or married? Is the student young or old? Is the student innocent or to some extent contaminated? Because they all make for different reactions and different thought processes. Because different emotions come up. If, for example, the person, forget the student for now, if the person is in a relationship, for example, and it happens to be a romantic one, in other words, you are in a bona fide relationship with someone and you've been with them for a while, it's going to be a bit more difficult, And I think the idea of you can't serve or you can't love two masters, it's very, very, very true. It doesn't exist for us. It's talking about someone and they're attracted to person A, and let's just say that is their companion, okay, their husband, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, and all of a sudden this person runs into another human being, and slowly they find themselves gravitating towards him or her. And you gravitate because there are elements of attraction. And in attraction there is curiosity, there is interest, and there are moments of intimacy, okay? Now, it is true that when you begin to have attraction for two people, your monogamy has come to a pause to some extent. And I'm not talking about now you're having an affair with someone physically. Emotionally, you're divided. It's like a house divided unto itself. Now you spend 50% of your time, and by time I mean your energy, your resources, intellectual resources, with person A, and as the attraction for this other person grows, you're also spending 50% of your resources with this other person, okay? And the thing is, when you become attracted to two people, I'll put this on the board so I don't get myself confused. I know you guys are very clear about this. So let's say this is Joanne, okay? Joanne has a companion whose name is Jim, okay? Now, they have been together for a while, let's just say 10 years, okay? It's relatively good. Remember, no relationship is perfect. They all have their own struggles and conflicts and moments of examination and reflection where you kind of contemplate leaving. So let's just say Jay has a tendency of slowly becoming a bit more reflective. You begin to have components of Socrates inside you where you say to yourself, an unexamined life is not worth living. So not only do you examine the emotions that you have within yourself, you begin to examine the emotions that you have with Jim, okay? Now, little by little, let's just say, so this is Jill, this is Jim, and this is John. Okay, John slowly, you meet him somewhere, or her, and you begin to find yourself attracted to him or her a little bit, for different reasons, of course. This is your lifelong companion, okay? Now, if you have been in a long-term relationship, you know, me, you, and Paula can attest to this, where you are really there for the politics of life. You know, once in a while there is intimacy, once in a while there is good conversation, but for the most part, it's about the politics of life. And when you spend so much time with this other person, you have a psychological narrative, you have attachment. You know, even if you don't feel for the person. It's like you have a sofa there, you haven't sat on it for 10 years, but you refuse to give it away. That's how it is. You become attached to things because you see them on a daily basis. Now, this brings you to some extent to life, but you don't know why or how. Okay? Everything here, for the most part, seems to be okay. Hello, Bridget. Okay. With the presence of John, something happens. You begin to reflect. If you would examine things, let's say, once a week for about 10 minutes, now you examine things every single day for about 2 hours. Okay. So your relationship with Jim, is purely, say, to get rid of loneliness, boredom, have dinners together, once in a while have conversations, go to places. But with John, it's a reflective relationship. It also has a good amount of emotions, intense emotions, that are very different here. You know, this is very, very exciting. It kind of moves you into these uncharted territories that can be frightening, but you love the emotions. And you love the way you begin to think and reflect about things. And you love the conclusions you come to, regardless of how frightening they may be. Okay? But remember, we are very cunning and we are very clever. Whatever it is that you experience here, you keep hidden in this area. You don't talk about them. You know, it's like the movie, what's that movie? You know the movie I'm talking about, Encanto? We don't talk about Bruno. No, no, no. Okay, so whatever you experience here, no, no, no. You don't talk about them with your companion, okay? Now, for the last 10 years, this has been your focus, this particular world, okay? All of a sudden, this creeps in, and now you live in two worlds. You have a Jill that lives with Jim, and you have a Jill that lives with John. The problem with John is that he or she they begin to force you to think about your relationship. And it goes beyond your companionship with John. It has to do with your work, your issue with your parents, your desire to have children, the sort of friends you are having or want to have, the sort of lifestyle you want to continue to have. Everything becomes under attack. Okay? Now, what happens with John is that, remember that saying in the Gospels that if you're building your house on sand, it's going to crumble? All of a sudden, your relationship with John does something really interesting, at the same time cruel to you. You begin to doubt, because John is introducing to you a different way of looking at your life, at the world, at politics, at religion, at education, at emotions, reflections, everything. Everything comes under attack with John. And that's one of the things about teachers. They don't really just focus on a specific branch in life. They focus on everything. Okay? And so there is no corner you can go to escape, because everything, again, remember, everything kind of gets crumbled. Now, the assumption that most of us have, which I think is true, is that the person who kind of breaks you, you down here say, if this person has broken me, he or she is the only one who can put me back together. I go back and I think about this, but I can't be sure I'm right. So let me go seek advice. You know. Now, the more simple your life, you'll have enough complications, but they won't be as traumatic. If, for example, you have a wife or a husband here, and you realize you're becoming more attracted to this person than this person, this is going to come under attack, and it's shocking, and it's traumatic, and it's horrifying, and it's frightening. If, on the other hand, you have no companion, okay, your life can be a bit more simpler, less traumatic. You'll still get sad, you'll still get lonely and, you know, depressed, but it won't be about this and your job and education and what am I going to do? I've been with this person for about 13 years. What now? Okay. If you don't have this, it'll be easier. Is this making sense so far? So the less you have in your life, the easier the consequences of being around John. Because there are less things you have to leave behind. If you're married, 2 kids, 3 kids, a husband or a wife, a job, parents, and say Jill, who happens to be, or John happens to be a teacher and is moving to Kansas, there's a good chance you may pack and leave. And that's leaving too many things behind. If, on the other hand, you're single and you're young and your life is relatively fluid, it's not going to be difficult for you to pack up and leave. So the more stuff you have in your life, the more conflicts you're going to encounter. The more conflicts, the more anger, the more confusion, the more frustration, the more anxious. Luke, it's good to see you. It's been a while. You have missed me, that's why you're here. Yes. Logan, you see that? You see where he's sitting? there is something that John has here. At least we assume that he has. You know, I read Socrates because my assumption is that inside Socrates lives wisdom. I read the Gospels because my assumption is inside Jesus Christ there is wisdom. I talk to my father. He's an interesting man. He's a nice man. He has information. He has experience, most unprocessed. But there is no wisdom here. Add to it the fact that I've been around my father for a long, long time. There is, you know, it's a habit now. He doesn't inspire me or excite me except moments where he gets like sick, where I look at him and he's 90 and I realize that he's got maybe another few years left, so maybe I should spend more time with him. But that's really the only excitement. But with someone like Socrates or Jesus or Malcolm X, you know, Angela Davis doesn't live too far from me. And so once in a while when I see her walking with her dog and her companion, Gina, there is something interesting about Angela, that she doesn't talk about her past. It's true that I don't really know her that well. We don't really spend too much time together, just in passing. But she never comes out to tell me her past. She never imposes those things. She keeps it very private. Maybe what she's thinking, if Amir was to knock on my door on a daily basis, asking me more and more questions about me, my thoughts, my experiences, then maybe I could be more intimate with him. Okay? I think the more you knock on this door, for whatever the reasons may be, and the reason for the most part is, you know, you assume that this person has wisdom, knows how to think well, how to feel well about things, how to perceive well and process things in the right way, things that you can't do in this world. Okay? And after you kind of spend a good amount of time with this person and kind of see with your own eyes that he or she is far more superior to you than you in thinking and feeling and perceiving things, then something about you just kind of becomes passive. Okay? And you go back home and you expect the same thing from your husband and your wife, to think the same way, feel the same way, process the same way, but they're far too incompetent. So your respect for them kind of decreases, and your respect for this person increases. I mean, that's a great amount of loss in any relationship, where you begin to see the humanity of your companion and you won't like too many things. You know? And then you say, okay, it seems that 10 years ago I went out with this guy, I liked him for reasons A, B, C, D. I am now at the age of 35, 36, 37. I come to realize that my decision-making processes have very many flaws. I don't think I'm in the right place in life, whether employment-wise, okay, school-wise, relationship-wise. What do I need to do? Do I walk away? Do I stay? Do I quit or do I continue? Because remember, when you hang out with someone like him, something about you comes to life. Let me kind of do this in a different way. Okay. Am I boring you guys? A little bit. My apologies. Anyone? So I borrow this from the Islamic tradition. And it kind of speaks to the way we have been condemned as human beings. And it's the story of Joseph in the Old Testament and David. Okay? Now, for those of you who don't know the story, Joseph is this old man. He's got, I think, 11 sons. Joseph happens to be either the youngest or the second to the youngest. And for whatever the reasons are, this father really, really, really loves Joseph. The father's name is Jacob. The son's name is Joseph. There is something about Joseph that, Joseph that Jacob finds profoundly attractive. He can't spend a minute without him. Now, Paula has 2 children. Sometimes she spends maybe 5 minutes of special time with son number A, okay? Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
And then she peeks over and son number 2 is looking at her. And all of a sudden, Paula feels bad, feels guilty, and looks at son number 2 and gives him a wink. Like, hi, I got you too. It may be that I'm playing with your older brother, but I haven't forgotten about you. And in that moment, she catches herself because she knows that son number 2 is expressing jealousy, envy. That you're spending this time with my brother, why can't you spend it with me? I too exist, as Rene Descartes would say in the 17th century. So there is Jacob here, the father. Okay? He's got 11 sons. The sons grow very, very jealous of, say, the 9th kid, who happens to be Joseph. The sons begin to say, you know, if our father dies, he's going to leave everything for Joseph. He won't inherit anything. As it stands, our father's love, attention, time, they're all going towards Joseph. He's giving us nothing. So let's do this. Now remember, these 10 sons sit and talk amongst themselves. Joseph is absent. Okay, he's like flying his kite. They say, let us plan this. Let's take Joseph for a hike. Kill him. And come back and tell our father, Jacob, that a wolf attacked us and ate our brother. Okay? So they go to Jacob and say, Dad, they've decided to go hiking. You can't come because you're far too old and you're crippled. Just us 11 brothers are going to go. Jacob says, leave Joseph with me. I can't live without him. You 10 go. Leave him with me. They say, no. Let Joseph have some fun as well. Jacob says, no. The brothers say, yes. Jacob says, no. The brothers say, yes. Eventually, Jacob the father says, okay, please, make sure nothing happens to him. Okay? If anything happens to Joseph, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. The brothers say, okay. Now, the father has no idea the intentions behind this hike. They go away, and they throw Joseph in a well, in a dark well. They find a goat. They slit the goat's throat. But before throwing Joseph down this well, they remove his t-shirt. They take it off, pour the goat's blood on the t-shirt, run back to Jacob and say, we were attacked. A lion attacked us. Okay? We wrestled with the lion, but tragically enough, the lion ate our brother Joseph. He's dead. The only thing is this t-shirt. Jacob. Now remember, you have love. You have this intense love that Jacob has for his son. And this love gets intensified because Jacob can see Joseph with his eyes, smell him, touch him, taste him, be around him, okay? So this love gets more and more intense. Now that Joseph is dead, the only thing that Jacob has is the memory of Joseph. Now, those of you who've ever been in love, you know that it doesn't matter how many fond memories you have of your lover. You sit by your phone, you're waiting for him or her to say, I'm coming over. That's your paradise. Okay? If there is no call, all you have are the memories, which means that you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't feel peace, comfort. Okay? You become your own worst enemy, and your memories begin to haunt you. So now that the object of his love has gone away, what happens to Jacob? He has suffered a loss. It's not losing a pencil. Okay? It's not losing a coffee mug. It's losing the love of his life. And Joseph makes up for all of his life. And now that Joseph is gone, Jacob has lost a good part of who and what he is. Okay? So for those of you in this class who fall in love and things don't work out and you get depressed, there is a good reason. There's a good chunk of you that now lives inside this other person who's not returning your call, who's not taking you out for coffee. So what happens to you? Your world shrinks. You get sad. You get depressed. You become angry. You become vengeful. These are all natural emotions. Okay? You just have to make sure that you don't act like Will Smith. Okay? Now, that he has suffered a loss, what happens? There is grief. And what's the anatomy of grief? It has sadness in it. It has depression in it. It has loneliness in it. It has fear in it. It has anger in it. In other words, there is right now no closure. He has not yet made peace with the loss. Okay? Now, you could replace this with anything. This is Amir. Amir has a relationship with alcohol. He's been drinking for about 10 years. This is what I love. It gives my life meaning and purpose, okay? It puts a lid on my anger. And all of a sudden I say, I want to quit drinking. What you're saying is you want to lose, okay? Your tendency towards going and drinking. That's a great loss after especially a 10-year relationship. Okay. So there's a reason why we go through relapses. We go back to the thing we kind of try to refrain. It's very, very difficult. Okay. Now, what happens in this loss, Jacob does the thing that most of us in this class do when we miss someone so desperately or something. He weeps. He cries. And it's not just crying for an hour or two. It's not just crying for a day or two. He cries day after day, after day, after day, until he loses his sight. He can't see anymore. And this is very, very symbolic. When you lose someone or something that you love, when you look out there to find anything that could bring about a tiny amount of inspiration, excitement, meaning, value, you won't find any. In other words, the world has nothing to offer you. It's as if you're blind. Anything that you see does not generate any momentum of interest, curiosity, passion. You go out, 10 minutes later you go back home. 10 minutes you say, what the hell am I doing at the house? Maybe I should go back out again for a walk. So you can't be home, you can't go out. You are a nomad, you have no place to live. Okay? This guy cries and cries and cries and cries. He can't see anymore. So in the Islamic tradition, what they argue is this. For whatever the reasons are, human beings are born to eventually become a Jacob. Why? There is something inside us that desires Joseph, what we call beauty, what we call perfection, what we call whole. Okay? Every single one of us. Bridget has come to America for one reason: beauty. America can give her opportunities, if used properly, can beautify her life, make her life a bit more whole, a bit more perfect. Every single one of us in this classroom are here because we are pursuing this thing called beauty. We don't know what it is. We have glimpses of it once in a while, and it's intuitive. Okay? So when you read the dialogues of Plato and Socrates comes to you and says, what is beauty? You say, well, it's my wife. I understand that, but I want to know what beauty is in itself. And what Socrates really wants you to do, or wants to do, is to bring you to this place of silence. You can't explain what beauty is. You can't really explain what truth is. You can't explain what justice is. These are all intuitive. Okay? You can only experience them, but not express them. Okay? So for those of you in this class who once in a while fall in love with someone, and you physically lay next to them, it's ultimately because that's the only way this love that is now contained in this vehicle called the physical body can be experienced and expressed. And all of a sudden, sex will have a different meaning and different quality and different value to it. All right? Now, I don't know why we are born to be condemned, that all of us are Jacob. We feel as if there is something about us that's gone awry, that we are missing something, okay? What we are looking for is a Joseph in our life, a Socrates, or a Malcolm X. Next time you're going to Best Buy to get a brand new video game for yourself, what are you looking for? Something that all the other games that you possess don't offer you. That's beauty, excitement, inspiration, perfection. Being consumed for 2 weeks. Okay? The problem is this. We are down here. Joseph is up here. And here is a barren land. There is nothing here except our struggle to get to Joseph. And the point of this, Kendra, is the following. In your practical political life, there's a good amount of thinking that's involved. In your relationship with John, okay, he kind of gives you a glimpse of how to think differently about things. This new way of thinking about things gives you access to this thing called Joseph, beauty. It's very, very, very abstract. And when you try to bring it to this world, it just won't work. And I think it's one of the most interesting things that you find in the Gospels. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. Don't give what belongs to God to Caesar, because it won't work. And don't give what belongs to Caesar to God, because that won't work either. Okay? Remember what happened to Jesus, to Socrates, to Malcolm X. Jesus tried to give what belongs to God to Caesar. To people, ordinary people, with wives and husbands and children and jobs. What happened to him? He got killed. Malcolm X, what did he try to do? He tried to bring justice and fairness and liberation to who? To people. But people are ambitious. They are pigs. Okay? We are greedy. We are power hungry. What happened? He got shot. What happened to Gandhi? And it's a very, very difficult place to be. First, you're on this quest. You find whatever it is you're looking for. You take it down here and you realize you're rejected.